This is NDTV. And you're watching Ndtv-Hindu.
Good evening and welcome. Imagine having to study for exams that could make or break your future in the middle of all the noise that an election campaign entails. The blaring loudspeakers, the loud poll promises, and the deafening music. What's the logic behind these dates? That's the 13th of April. More than 16 lakh students and thousands of college students in Tamil Nadu will be inconvenienced. Institutions may work around the election date and alter exam timetables. But what about the disturbance caused by the campaigns? For a change, political parties are on the same page. Some, for their own reasons, of course, perhaps they need more time to form their alliances, perhaps they need more time to allot seats, and of course to hit the campaign trail. Also, maybe more time could have meant more freebies. But today, the AIADMK chief, Ms. Jayalalitha, wrote a letter to the Chief Election Commissioner seeking a postponement of the election date to the end of April or the beginning of May, and she cited genuine difficulties that those lakhs of students preparing for exams may face, and also certain practical problems. I'll be joined by a special panel tonight comprising the former Chief Electoral Officer of Tamil Nadu, Mr. Naresh Gupta, a student, Sri Prapanch, a principal and a parent and an office bearer of the Tamil Nadu Teachers Association, and our senior correspondent, Peer Mohammed. But we're going to ask you the big question: should the election date be changed? A special discussion in just 2 minutes after the headlines at this hour with Ashmit.
That's right, Sanjay. And let's take a look at the top headlines making at this hour. Madras High Court rejects Lankan Minister Douglas Devananda's anticipatory bail plea in a murder case. The Election Commission gets down to the do's and don'ts, a detailed expenditure guideline ahead of the polls. AIADMK is the latest in the line of political parties demanding rescheduling of the polls, suggests late April or early May as an alternative. Arama's phones being tapped. AIADMK MPs say so, demand a probe and the Prime Minister's intervention. Round 3 of talks, but still no viable seat-sharing formula for the DMK-Congress combine. DMK's high-level meet to focus on manifesto and Congress's demands. Hollywood sensation is set for making its debut in India. Will Black Swan impress the Indian audiences come this weekend? Let's also have a quick look at stories coming in from across the country. The Supreme Court strikes down PJ Thomas's appointment as the Central Vigilance Commissioner, says the Prime Minister's panel failed to consider the integrity of the institution. Under attack from the opposition, the Prime Minister tells NDTV he respects the verdict and will make statements in both the houses. What is going on? The top court slams the government on the black money probe into alleged tax evader Hassan Ali. Gaddafi loyalists nab Dutch Marines engaged in rescue operations are subjected to intensive interrogations as per reports. And Steve Jobs makes a surprise appearance to launch a faster, lighter and more powerful iPad 2. And on to the big story, and the cries for rescheduling the April 13 polls are getting louder. And the BJP was the first to give a call, followed by the CPM, and the DMK chief was critical of the date in Murasoli. Now today MDMK joined in, and now the AIADMK Supremo Jayalalitha has written to the Election Commissioner for shifting dates. The AIADMK has cited Class 10, Class 12 and college exams as the reason. It has also argued that Tamil New Year celebrations could hamper the election process. And the party has asked the election dates to be shifted to April end or the beginning of May. Well, Jayalalitha says the announcement of April 13th, 2011 as the date of polling for Tamil Nadu and Puducherry has come as a surprise to the people, as the AIADMK General Secretary believes it could have a negative impact on the 9 lakh students taking higher secondary board exams. And the AIADMK also cited how teachers deployed on election duty will be preoccupied with examinations. Meanwhile, university exams are also scheduled till the end of April. And moreover, April 14th is traditionally celebrated as a Tamil New Year. This will result, according to the AIADMK, in poor voter turnout. And Jayalalitha wants polling dates changed to April end or the early May 2011. this, of course, is the big question. And to dwell on this question in greater detail, let's go across to our executive editor, Sanjay Pinto.
Thank you very much, Ashmit. Joining us live from our studio in the Hindu office is Mr. Naresh Gupta, the former Chief Electoral Officer of Tamil Nadu. Thank you very much, Mr. Gupta, for joining us. Also joining us in our studio here in Perungudi is Sri Prapanch, a student, a very angry student, I must say, going by what he was telling me before we started this bulletin. To Mr. Naresh Gupta, to you, sir, first. The Election Commission, sir, had a meeting with various political parties before the election date was announced, and most parties, in fact, opted for a single-phase polling. When the Election Commission can ask parties about single-phase or multiple-phase polling, why can't they also seek the opinion of political parties, sir, on the dates of elections?
Actually, the schedule of elections is determined by the Election Commission based on various considerations, including taking note of festivals, if any, possibility of floods, cyclones, etc. Now, this is a timetable which has been worked out, taking into account the elections to be held in 4 states and a union territory. Now, what had happened was, of course, in Tamil Nadu, generally, since the elections were held in May, therefore, probably the political parties thought that this time, as a matter of routine, it would also be fixed for possibly late April, end of April or May, early May. But Election Commission has the discretion and the flexibility to fix.
Sir, but my question is, when they can ask political parties about single phase or multiple phase, why can't they ask about the dates, sir?
No, dates, of course, never in the history the Election Commission asks for the dates from the political parties. At best, they may ask the Chief Electoral Officer on the exam schedule, on the festivals, etc. Now, what has happened is the state government, while fixing the exam schedule, they did not think, or they have not taken note of the possibility of Election Commission fixing the election schedule in a way that might affect the exams.
All right, let me also ask, since you're talking about exam schedules, so let's also ask a student, the real stakeholders here. Of course, you say that never in the history has the Election Commission asked political parties about suggestions for dates, but then of course never in the history of Tamil Nadu also have we ever had a 1-month gap between polling and counting. But Sri Prapanch, a college student in fact, is here. Prapanch, the fact that you will have to go through the campaigning and all that, have to prepare while campaigning goes on, to what extent are you going to be hit, and when are your exams likely to be?
How do you expect us to prepare for the exams amid these noises? You see, if there's a lot of noises in your room, how will you be able to do this bulletin? And it's a democratic country.
Yeah, we have, fortunately here we have a noiseless, soundproof studio. But yes, your point is taken.
Yeah, but this is a democratic country, and I'm a first-time voter. They should have asked, us before deciding the dates of the election. And as far as we are concerned, the election date should be at the end of April or in the beginning of March.
Beginning of May, okay.
Yeah, May.
Okay, that's what in fact most of the political parties also are saying. Let's try and also go across to a school principal, in fact the administrator of Sishya School, Mr. Salil Thomas. Mr. Salil Thomas, all right, we seem to have lost him on the phone line right now, but going back to Mr. Naresh Gupta, sir, you just heard a first-time voter here angry about this. He says he may not be able to vote. I mean, the prospect of not being able to exercise his franchise for the first time ever seems to have really put him off. And also talking about, the disturbance caused by campaigning. You may work around the schedules, but then what about it? Ultimately, it's the students who have to prepare for exams when all those noisy speeches and the blaring loudspeakers and the music is played.
Now, as I can see, it may interfere with the 10th exams. Now, in Pennagaram also, if it may be recalled that the elections, the poll was fixed around the time of exams, but then the loudspeakers were sought to be regulated. The use of the loudspeakers was sought to be regulated. Here also one option is to reschedule, for the state government to reschedule the exams for the 10th. They can have it either earlier or later. It can be held even after the 13th, after the poll is completed in Tamil Nadu.
All right.
The other option which is always possible is to regulate the loudspeakers, the use of the loudspeakers.
I know that seldom happens because I mean that's yes, it's there in the book, it's there in the law, but no one really does it. I know there are several complaints. This time, of course, there's a helpline also been given out to citizens that they can use hopefully this time around. Let's now try and go back to Mr. Salil Thomas, administrator of Shisha School. Mr. Thomas, thank you very much for joining us. How are you going to tide over this problem here? Have you thought about this earlier? Have exam dates been rescheduled in your school?
Well, you're talking about the board exam?
I'm not only talking about the board exam, I'm talking about the other exams as well. Board exams, of course, being extremely crucial, which of course the government or the respective boards have to decide, but also the other exams as well.
Well, for us, the school actually was due to close on 13th, so we would have finished our exam before that.
Okay.
And the board exams, the central board exams, all will finish by 1st of April.
All right. But the preparation, sir, the preparation will start. The campaigning will clash with the preparation of students. All the noise, the din and confusion.
Yes, that is true. There is a lot of distraction for the students. But by and large, I think most of them would be studying in the evenings and night when I think maybe they won't be too disturbed.
All right. That's for school students. But Mr. Gupta, coming back to you, how exactly do you think the Election Commission would actually respond to pleas by political parties? Mr. Karunanidhi had written in the Murasuli, he has not yet written a direct letter to the Election Commission, but written in the Murasuli talking about, in fact, he's calculated. In fact, the DMK has also been hit because they had planned a mega election sort of conference in Trichy on the 27th of March. Of course, we are told that's likely to be cancelled. Also saying that effectively political parties may just have about 17 days to campaign. Now, the AIDMK chief, Ms. Jayalalitha, has written a letter clearly highlighting the various difficulties faced that will be faced by students. Also, teachers will also be joined shortly. If my production control room can tell me if we've got the teacher also up on the phone line from the Teachers Association. But does the Election Commission normally consider such requests for a change of date, sir?
No, actually, before we go into that, there are two aspects which I would like to mention. One is in Kerala, the exams are being completed by the end of March itself. Number two, the campaigning period really starts after the candidates have been decided. That is after the filing of nominations, or then the scrutiny is there, then withdrawal of candidatures 2 days. So effectively the campaigning should start by the end of March only, which means that if exams are over by end of March, which is the position in Kerala, then there should not be any disturbance. I do not, of course, want to go into what the party leaders are, the views which they have expressed or the stand they have taken, because their stand may be actuated by the interests of their party. Probably they wanted more campaigning. They have not yet been able to work out the alliance, the number of seats, which constituencies will be allotted to whom, and then the candidates. I cannot go into that, but then there is always a solution to the problem, in the sense either the exams can be advanced or they can be postponed to start after 13th.
All right.
And secondly, in any case...
Yes, sir. Let's also go across to Peer Mohammed. Low voter turnout is what Ms. Jayalalitha says is likely to happen. Also, that other important question of New Year, the Tamil New Year, also Telugu New Year. We are told that there's a significant Telugu population as well in Tamil Nadu. Low voter turnout will benefit which side?
Yes, Sanjay, this is going to, that is what the opposition is worrying about. Both AIDMK Supremo Jayalalitha and MDMK General Secretary Vaiko have expressed concern about low voter turnout, because this is April 13th is a Wednesday, and next day is because of Ambedkar's birth anniversary, it is a government holiday, and also it is going to be a long weekend, and people might go out on a holiday and they may not turn out to vote. That is quite an alarming concern from the political parties, particularly from the opposition, because
another factor here is that many believe, in fact, I've been talking to some political leaders who didn't want to really come on record, but they told me that it's the undecided voter, the voter who's not really made up his mind. in most elections, it's the undecided voter who goes out and ultimately exercises his vote that may actually cause a swing in the final outcome. Is that also a worry cutting across the political spectrum here?
Yes, definitely. That is what the political parties have been saying, because they will be, this is also a public holiday, April 13. So they will, because it's a long weekend and April 14th is traditional Tamil New Year day. They will decide to go to their native places, so, and then they cannot exercise their franchise, leaving the, these polling booths will be empty. That is one big concern of all the political parties, and they have taken up the issue with the Election Commission, particularly because of this reason also, not just because of the exams. Yeah.
All right. Also, we were hoping to be joined by a member of the Teachers Association, but since we are not able to reach that person, maybe Peer, I'll ask you this question. Teachers, of course, and Mr. Gupta can also take this. Teachers are largely employed, in fact, government employees, especially government teachers, in the polling process. Now, many of them will be affected by this because they'll have to do both. They'll have to juggle around with exam preparations in their respective institutions and also polling.
Yes, this was also one concern expressed by AIDMK Supremo Jayalalitha. She has said that a lot of teachers are put on poll duty, and they have to now, until April 11th, they have to take care of the SSLC exams, and they cannot do both the work at the same time. That is the preparation for elections and also the conduct of the examinations, public examination. That is another concern. So the teachers, Tamil Nadu Teachers Association also has expressed this concern, and they have also said in the larger interest of the students, these elections have to be rescheduled, and they have come out with a statement to that effect. Sanjay.
All right, Mr. Gupta, you're hearing various cross-section of views here in this discussion on our special panel. Do you think the election commissions are going by your rich experience in the election commission? Do you think they will actually give in to, probably be amenable to a change in the date, not just going by appeals from political parties, but also by practical difficulties, also views raised by the common people for whom this entire election is held, views raised by our Sri Prapanchana studio and several others, the teachers, the parents. Do you think the election commission may change the date? I know it's a bit of a logistical issue here, but do you think they'll be even open to even consider changing the date, sir?
Actually, I may not be able to say anything on that except to say that Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Pondicherry, it's a common date. That is one. Two is there's another option or solution, that is to reschedule the examinations. Now, I am not in a position to really say whether Election Commission will like to consider a change in the election schedule. But an option which is easily available to the state government is, having regard to the facts which have been indicated or the concerns expressed, is to reschedule the examinations, which is obviously within the...
Reschedule the exams, but not the elections. So it's also the logic behind actually deferring results, because it's not a parliamentary election. These are assembly elections. So what is the logic really in making one state wait for 1 month and necessarily having to announce simultaneous results? This is in fact a question that many common citizens have been asking me. There are several people who even write on my Facebook wall asking us the same question.
No, that of course the answer is very clear, that the counting is always done on a common date throughout the country, even whether we take the Lok Sabha elections earlier or the assembly elections of 2006, whichever states.
What is the rationale behind doing that, sir?
Because no, the logic there are, for example, even if you forget about the state parties, there are national parties which also contest the elections. So if, for example, some national party does not fare well in a particular state, assuming that counting is done earlier there, then it may have some implications or repercussions in the other states which go to polls. Therefore, the logic is that if the counting is done on a uniform date, then it will not affect the prospects of those parties, at least which are interstate or national parties.
All right. Do you wish you were chief electoral officer this time around, sir? Do you wish that you were chief electoral officer this time? You would have had a 1 month vacation between polling and counting.
No, that would not have bothered me, but the point of course is that since elections will be very tough, therefore probably I am fortunate not to be in that post.
All right, let's go across to a parent now. Okay, it's not just the students but also parents who are affected. Many of them have to stay up early in the morning till late at night, also helping their children prepare for exams. We are now joined by a very concerned parent, Devi, on the phone line. Devi, thank you very much for joining us and thank you for taking that break. You know, you've left your child who's preparing for the exam to join us here. Probably you wish you had a soundproof room like we've got a soundproof studio.
Sanjay, yes, thank you very much.
What is your concern, Devi? What is your precise concern, and how is your child going to cope this time around?
See, Sanjay, the basic concern for anyone here is, especially for a mother of a boy like me, you know, boys achieve the potential only just before the exam, and they can maintain the momentum to perform and achieve only for that particular period of time. And, you know, given that, the 12th exams are the defining moments in their career, to have cricket matches and elections coming in the way is a bit too much. You know, the cricket match you can shut off. But how do I shut off the poll campaigns, the loudspeakers, the traffic jam, and then keep the child in the frame of mind where he can focus only on the education? You know, it would be easier for people to say it should be exams, but it's absolutely unfair to our children. And I don't understand the logic of, you know, conducting a poll, conducting an election on one particular day and putting the results in cold storage for one entire month. You might as well have the election on 10th of May and then declare the results on May 13th, isn't it? So let the exams get done in one go.
All right.
Let's not disturb our children.
Those are very, very valid points, and I won't hold you back any further, Devi. I'll let you go back to your child and help in that exam preparation. But going back to Mr. Naresh Gupta, sir, also, do you believe that when you have, you know, a low voter turnout, that bogus votes could be cast? What has been your experience in the Election Commission so far, sir? There's an apprehension that bogus votes could be cast. A lot of malpractice could take place when there's low voter turnout.
No, there is of course that apprehension that if people are not there, for the absent electors, some other people may be brought to impersonate. But low voters turnout also, the concern is that the candidate who is elected will not really will reflect the true choice of the electorate or the people. So low voters turnout is of course a matter of concern, and the effort has been to improve the turnout through IEC campaigns, that is information, education and communication campaigns.
All right.
But probably I have a feeling that it may not be significantly affected, the turnout may not be significantly affected by the fact that the Tamil New Year's Day is on the following day. But the other aspect which has to be kept in mind also is that the longer the period of campaigning, the more is the chance of malpractices, and we have had a lot of distribution of money and biryani, liquor, etc. So from that angle it needs to be welcome. But then the exams aspect can be taken care of. If the exam schedule is altered, it can be postponed or it can be advanced, so that it does not clash with the campaign period.
That's a very important point that you've raised, sir, and clearly you seem quite happy that you're not on the hot seat. But thank you very much for joining us, Peer Mohammed, Mr. Naresh Gupta, Sri Prapanch. I think it's Sri Prapanch and Devi who actually are in the hot seat. It's the students who are in the hot seat as well as their parents, and not the polling officials this time around, not the Election Commission. We'll be back in a very short while from now with Ashmit with the rest of the news.
Well, thanks a lot, Sanjay. Again, dwelling on that all-important question and concerns coming in by both the sides. Of course, we'll bring you more news and updates in just a bit. Keep watching NDTV Hindu.